We're already halfway there.
But you know something. This last few days, there's been a lot of insecurity, in town. I saw a video on social media, Sampa Valley, which is just around Wager area. Guys on 2 motorbikes stopped the Mercedes-Benz there. They jumped in there, robbed the driver of some monies.
It looked like something out of a movie.
Yeah, it was like very strange, and the people who happened to be capturing it, I'm not sure what they were filming, because it's like, it was almost like they caught almost everything on camera.
So you ask yourself, did they just happen to have their phone, but you're right.
But it's very interesting, that social media these days, and the fact that our phones are always in our hands, ready to go, is an incredible thing now,
And it helps, for evidential purposes or evidentiary purposes, that when the police is looking for, they have that footage, I know some people sometimes think, instead of helping, you're filming, but filming helps.
Filming actually helps.
Because when it comes to, recounting the incident, and you've got physical proof or evidence or pictorial evidence that this took place, that goes a long way to helping the case. But can you imagine? I mean, this is not the first time we're hearing of something like this. It's not even the first time we're seeing something like this. Remember what happened in what's the place near Jamestown? There was one recently where the bullion van.
Yes, the bullion van.
They were attacked, and then the cop.
Area.
The cop was unfortunately killed. Another lady also was killed by a stray bullet. It's and then we saw the Forex Bureau near police headquarters on Osuring Way. Same similar thing. Motorbike. They went in. CCTV footage showed us all the whole operation. These things seem to be happening quite a bit to do with people withdrawing money or large amounts of money being stolen by these thieves. I know we've got a bit of information people can watch. And
let's take a look at the video that we have for you on couple of the robberies that have taken place. We'll come back and we'll continue the conversation.
Violent crime strikes fear in the hearts of victims and witnesses. In the year 2021, the months of June and September stand out in the number of daylight robbery cases recorded. The plot, approach, and execution of the incident are similar and leave their victims in fear and with injuries. In the month of June, a number of notable cases of daylight robberies occurred at different locations in the capital. On the 7th of June, a man was shot in the stomach in a daylight robbery incident by 2 armed men at Pig Farm. He was pronounced dead 24 hours after being treated at the 37 Military Hospital. On the same day, 2 armed men broke into a Forex Bureau near Anisakal in Osu. They stormed the structure near the police headquarters and made away with an undisclosed amount of money. Some workers sustained injuries and were admitted at the 37 Military Hospital. The culprits in these 2 incidents are currently at large. On Friday, June 11th, an unidentified man in an attempted robbery case attacked the driver of a Nissan Pathfinder with registration number GE 808811 on the Gimpa Fiesta Royal Road. On the 14th of June 2021, unidentified armed men on not less than 3 motorbikes crossed a bullion van and started shooting sporadically in Jamestown. In the process, 2 persons were shot dead instantly. 2 tellers who were in the bullion van escaped unhurt. The weapon of the policeman was also taken away together with an unspecified amount of money. 3 months down the line in September, there has been another week with a series of daylight robberies similar to their plot, approach, and execution. On Tuesday, September 21st, a robbery syndicate stalked a 33-year-old woman from a bank in a nearby vicinity and robbed her of a sum of 29,000 Ghana cedis at gunpoint near Apenkwa. Days after, within the same week, another incident of broad daylight robbery was recorded at Kwashiman, close to the local Bank of Africa branch. According to eyewitness accounts, the victim was robbed of a huge sum that had just been withdrawn from the bank. The victim was rushed to the hospital to be treated for injuries sustained from the attacks. On Friday, residents of Sampa Valley near the Wager barrier in the South municipality experienced yet another incident of broad daylight robbery. The robbers, who were 4 in number, were on 2 different motorbikes wielding guns. Under the cover of crash helmets, the robbers crossed a white vehicle and snatched the possession of their victims contained in a sack.
So that was just a brief look at some of the incidents that have occurred in the past few months. And there are many questions that are raised to Kweku. I mean, first of all, how the robbers happen to be at the right or wrong place at the right or wrong time. And why people are withdrawing such huge sums of money in cash as well. I mean, in this day and age, there are so many means of transferring money, paying for things. You know, especially with the spate of robberies like this, it's so risky to go into a bank and withdraw huge sums of money, knowing that potentially somebody could be laying in wait to attack you. I wonder why people are still doing that. Maybe people want to avoid, I know, you know, when you use some of these electronic means, there are fees attached. So maybe they want to avoid the fee. But what's worse, a fee or your life? Do you understand?
But you see, again, the fees are minimal. The fees are not a lot.
Exactly, in the bigger picture.
Right? Yes, in the larger scheme of things, the fees, whatever fees they are for transferring money, is very insignificant, really, compared to your life. This kind of risk that you're going to put yourself at. So for me, first of all, for all the consumers, patrons of banks, and you want to move money from point A to point B, number one, why not use a bank's draft? It's a piece of paper. Nobody can do anything with it.
If it's for paying people, it's electronic means.
If it's for paying people, electronic.
There's more money options.
If they can't take Momo, they don't deserve to be paid. It's as simple as that.
As simple as
if they cannot take Momo, don't pay them.
Security
It's that simple. Because you see, if we put these measures in place and insist on going cashless,
it will curb a lot of this.
A lot of these robberies will just end.
You know, and we mentioned this off air, that you were talking about the fact that there has to be some kind of inside information going out, because how is it that robbers on a motorbike know exactly when to target and who to target at what time? They must know the person has gone in to withdraw a large amount of money. How do they know that? Is there, you know, are we investigating people who actually work at banks to see whether or not they're the ones passing on this information?
So I think that's part of the police investigation that they are looking at the moment. That who are the people that are paying these monies out to these clients or customers? You know, because when the customer walks out, a few seconds later, they are being trailed by motorbikes with, you know, armed robbers, right? I say that, first of all, in the banking hall, anybody who is not there to transact business has no business in the hall.
Exactly.
Right? Because you can have people loitering, checking out who is removing what amount of money, eavesdropping on people, pretending to be signing forms and looking at what people are signing on their withdrawal forms and so on and so forth. All this can be going on in a banking hall. Okay, so we need to be more vigilant and be more alert. If somebody goes to fill a form and goes back to sit down without dropping the form, security guy should approach him immediately and ask him what you're doing here. We saw you fill the form, you've not gone to submit it to the teller, you've gone back to sit down and you're sitting there watching and just folded your arms and what? Really? What are you doing here? Because you fill the forms, go deposit it at the teller, then we know you're here to do business. Otherwise, we have questions to ask you. So that's one. Then there's the issue of the tellers. Who paid out the money to this gentleman and the lady or whoever it is that have been robbed? Who at the bank was there passed the money over to them? We should check. We should trace it back.
From teller to security guard who also saw the person coming in and out.
All of that.
A whole chain. I would hope that the police are doing that. You know, maybe they don't come out publicly for obvious reasons. You know, for their investigation. But I think we understand that a banker has been arrested. That's what we're hearing. I'm sure there'll be more details, you know, through our news portals. But the other thing too, of course, is cracking down on those doing that. So it's good to hear that if some robbers are being arrested, that's what we want to hear. That if you go out there to commit a crime like this, to put people's lives in jeopardy, to take people's lives, you should face the full extent of the law. You know, look at the policeman, the young policeman who was killed in that bullion van robbery. You know, and we were told that the banks were going to start using proper, like, purpose-built bullion vans. But Bank of Ghana said they were going to make vans available. We haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen any. I have not seen any in town.
Seriously.
All I've seen
the same padlock.
It's the same padlock on the back of the
and then now they have I think military escorts, right?
I've seen a couple with some military escort behind them. That's not a solution, please. That is not a permanent solution. You maybe said temporary something as you're waiting for your vans to come into town or whatever.
Maybe.
But seriously, let's be serious. Let's be serious. A Bank of Ghana needs to crack the whip on this thing. And make sure that banks have proper bullion vans.
They came up with a statement giving them a couple of years to get these vans. And I thought, why so long? How many lives must be risked before we do the right thing. And if BOG does have those vans, and they said they would temporarily make them available, because remember at the time, the former IGP came out and said they were not going to keep providing policemen to escort these unsafe vans with padlocks if they're going to keep getting attacked. Then they came out and said, okay, all banks will have to get these bullion vans by a certain date. I have to check again whether it's 2 years or 3 years. And I thought, but why so long?
Yeah.
You know, banks should be able to acquire these vans for the safety of everyone involved. You know, so what are we waiting for? For another incident to happen? You know, but again, people, let's be safe. Let's be cautious how we handle money. Yeah. You know,
it's important.
It's very important.
Now, you know, the insecurity situation is getting all of us a little bit, you know, nervy. But the police have, you know, stepped up, and they're trying to increase presence on our streets to monitor, especially the Okada, the motorbikes, and doing random stops, checking them, you know, carrying of weapons, carrying of, you know, contraband things. Let's take a look at that report that we have for you. We'll come back and continue the conversation.
Apart from the visibility that we are seeing, are there other clear means that you are putting in place to ensure that the public is assured of safety?
Yeah, apart from all that we're saying, we're going to see we've created operational bases for our teams with that capability to deal with the menace. And then also collaborating with members of the public for information, the banks, and everywhere. I believe that it will go a long way to let our new operational strategies work.
So you have mentioned you're going to meet with banks. Now this involves money and in huge sums as well. Now what is your advice to the public, those who go out to take money in such huge amounts?
We've asked corporate institutions, businessmen of high and low stature who will be going there to cash money from the bank should solicit assistance from the police, and they should also make sure they put better security arrangements. We are also encouraging people to use other modern means of transacting business, and also avoid carrying huge sums of money if it is not necessary. But if it is necessary, they can count on the.
All right, so
there you have it.
That was our colleague Zoe Abiblady speaking with with ACP Kwesi Ofori, who's the acting Director General for Public Affairs for the police. And I mean, I think he just said what we were saying here is people, you know, need to try other means of transferring your money.
It's so important.
Very important.
It's so important.
But we're also looking at how the IGP is going. I mean, I think the public is getting very confident in the police.
That the police can handle
their efforts in trying to handle this. So if you're an armed robber out there, watch out. Yeah. They're coming after you
for you
in no uncertain terms.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, I think that all of us need to be more vigilant. I think that, and maybe, I don't know, we'll probably have to look into giving some tips on security, personal security, and all those things, you know, to help people. Because a lot of us are very blasé when it comes to our environment. And, you know, because we've been living in this cocoon of
Ghana,
false
we don't have
security for so many years that we can't imagine that, you know, anything bad is going to happen. We are driving home, we don't check who's following us. We're driving into our houses, we get out with, you know, there's like, we are not even, there's no thought in our mind that any problem is going to happen, you know. But that's actually as a result of the fact that we've lived in relative, you know, ease and peace for so many years, you know. But I think we need to be more alert and never take it for granted, because it's just that one time and it's just too late, you know, and we don't want that, all right? So, I mean, as time goes on, I am particularly interested in this, and I'm sure we're going to try and figure out a way of giving you some tips, you know, as well, security tips, especially for personal security, so that we are more alert and more aware of our environment and what's going on around us. But yes, we have a packed show.
We do have a packed show, yes, indeed.